Captain Elias Varn stepped out of his shuttle and into the dimly lit cargo bay of the spaceport. The usual smell of fuel and metal filled the air, along with the distant hum of engines and chatter of the port staff. It was a routine day, or so he thought, with crates to check and shipments to confirm. He had done this countless times before, moving supplies from one part of the galaxy to another, yet today something felt off. There was a strange energy in the air, like a quiet tension waiting to erupt. As he walked down the corridor, Elias noticed a faint glimmer of light near one of the storage doors. At first he thought it was a reflection from the metallic walls, or perhaps a stray spark from the maintenance bots working nearby. But then it moved. He blinked, and there it was again. A small figure, glowing softly, moving with quick, deliberate steps. Elias froze. The figure was small, barely the height of a child, yet it moved with a confidence that made him step back instinctively. The glowing figure turned toward him. Its eyes shone like tiny stars, and for a moment Elias felt a chill run down his spine. It studied him silently, and then, in a voice that was almost a whisper but carried weight, it said a single word: Dad. He had no children, at least none that he knew of. He looked around, confused. Certain someone must have been playing a trick, yet no one was there. The child, or whatever it was, stepped closer, its small body glowing brighter, and repeated the word.
Dad. The word hit him like a thunderclap. His mind raced.
Was this a hallucination caused by exhaustion? Had he been exposed to some chemical or gas in the cargo bay? Yet the feeling of presence was undeniable. It was real, impossible as it seemed. And then the child bolted, running past him with incredible speed, leaving a faint trail of light behind. Elias instinctively gave chase, adrenaline surging through his body. He had to know what this was. The chase led him through the maze-like corridors of the spaceport. He could hear the soft padding of the child's steps, quick and light, almost silent. Every corner he turned revealed nothing but empty halls, yet the glowing trail ahead of him persisted, beckoning him forward. Elias's mind was racing. How could this small alien child know him? Why had it called him Dad? He had no explanation, only the urgent need to follow. Above them, in a throne room aboard the Crimson Star, the alien queen observed the chaos with wide eyes. She had been informed that one of her offspring had been moved for protection, yet she did not expect what she saw on the security monitors. The child had escaped, slipping past the defenses with ease, and now a human was in pursuit. Shock and disbelief filled her features. Humans were fragile, unpredictable, and rarely capable of interacting with her children in such a profound way. And yet, this one had been called Dad by her offspring. She gasped, her mind spinning with questions. How could a human be recognized in such a way? What had she overlooked? Back in the cargo bay, Elias continued running. He reached a wide-open area filled with cargo containers stacked like giant blocks. The child darted between them, agile and precise, as if it had navigated these paths countless times before. Elias had to slow down slightly to avoid tripping over loose crates, but he could not let the child escape. Every instinct screamed that he had to protect it, yet his mind struggled to understand why. Finally, the child stopped near a hatch that led to the lower docks. Elias arrived a few moments later, out of breath, but determined. The child looked up at him, eyes shining, as if challenging him to act. It did not speak again, only waited. Elias reached out cautiously, unsure whether to touch it or not. When he did, he felt a strange warmth, like an electric pulse running through his hand. The child shivered, pressed closer to him, and for the first time, Elias understood something fundamental. This was more than a being needing help. This child had chosen him. The spaceport alarm suddenly blared. Automated security drones activated, scanning the area for anomalies. Elias glanced around, seeing the red lights flashing across the walls. He realized that they had little time. The child needed to leave, to escape before being captured. Without thinking, he scooped it into his arms and ran toward a nearby shuttle bay. As he ran, Elias thought about the impossible. How could this child be his? What connection could exist between a human and a being clearly not from his world? Questions tumbled through his mind faster than he could process them. Yet one thing was clear. He could not abandon this child. He would not. He reached the shuttle, quickly bypassing the security locks, and started the engines. The child clung to him tightly, its tiny body trembling slightly. Yet its eyes remained alert and curious. Elias felt a mix of fear and awe. He had faced hostile worlds, star pirates, and deadly storms in space, yet nothing compared to the weight of responsibility he now carried. High above, in her throne room, the alien queen's advisors argued heatedly. The escape was unprecedented. She had raised this child for a purpose, and now a human held it in his arms. The audacity, the impossibility of it, struck fear and disbelief into her. She had trained generations of warriors, controlled powerful fleets, and yet the idea of her offspring bonding with a human unsettled her deeply. Elias navigated the shuttle through the crowded docking lanes, weaving between larger vessels, evading security drones that were now in pursuit. He could hear the Queen's fleet activating across communications channels, their orders clear: reclaim the child at all costs. Yet in this moment, Elias felt a strange calm. The child's trust grounded him. He was not just running for his life. He was running for a future he could not yet see, but one that now depended on his courage. They left the spaceport behind, entering the vastness of space. Stars stretched out before them, endless and bright. The child's glow illuminated the cabin, casting soft shadows on Elias's face. He studied it closely, noticing delicate patterns on its skin, veins that pulsed like living circuits. Despite its small size, there was intelligence and purpose in every movement. Elias whispered to it, though it could not fully understand. "You are safe with me. I won't let anything happen to you." The child tilted its head, as if comprehending, and made a soft melodic sound that Elias somehow understood. It was not language as humans knew it, yet he felt its meaning resonate in his mind. Trust, hope, and connection. He realized that this being was more than a child. It was a bridge between worlds, a living testament to something greater than either species alone. Meanwhile, the alien queen activated her interstellar communicator, sending a warning to all fleets within light years. Her voice was firm, commanding, yet laced with an unfamiliar emotion. Worry. She had always been in control, yet now she faced a situation that defied her understanding. A human had claimed her child, not by force, but by an unspoken bond that she could not break. Her advisors questioned her judgment, but she remained silent, watching the unfolding events with a mixture of anger and reluctant awe. Elias adjusted the shuttle's course, heading for a remote sector of uncharted space. He knew the Queen's fleet would follow, but he trusted in the child's instincts. It led him through asteroid fields, nebulas, and regions where sensors were unreliable. Each jump through hyperspace brought new challenges, but also new understanding. The child was not just fleeing. It was guiding him, teaching him to navigate dangers he had never encountered. Hours passed, yet Elias remained focused. He slept little, ate less, driven by the urgency to keep the child safe. During moments of quiet, he reflected on his life, on battles fought, losses endured, and the emptiness he had felt. Now, in his arms, he held a being that changed everything. It had called him Dad, a word that carried meaning beyond biology or species. It carried trust, hope, and a future he had never dared to imagine. The child, sensing his thoughts, reached up and touched his face gently. Elias felt a warmth spread through him, unlike anything he had ever experienced. In that simple touch, he understood that family could be chosen, that love could cross worlds, and that the universe had plans far larger than his understanding. High above, the alien queen's fleet raced across the stars, closing the distance. Her advisors prepared for battle, yet she hesitated. She watched as the child and the human moved through space with an elegance and courage that defied expectation. The child's connection with the human was undeniable. For the first time, she questioned whether control alone defined strength, or whether something as simple as trust and choice could wield greater power. Elias finally slowed the shuttle near a hidden cluster of asteroids, finding a place to rest and plan their next move. The child nestled against him, exhausted but peaceful. He whispered promises of protection, guidance, and care. And though he did not understand how it had come to him, he knew one truth clearly. This child had chosen him, and he would honor that choice with every part of himself. The universe stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, dark, vast, and full of possibility. Elias understood that danger was far from over, that the alien queen would not relent easily. Yet he felt a new sense of purpose. He was no longer just a captain navigating the stars. He was a guardian, a father, and the unlikely protector of a being whose destiny would change the galaxy. And as the child slept softly in his arms, Elias whispered once more, almost to himself, "I will keep you safe. No matter what comes, I promise you, you are mine." The stars twinkled beyond the shuttle's viewport, silent witnesses to a new story beginning. A story of trust, courage, and the bond between human and alien that would defy all expectations. Elias Varn's shuttle glided silently through the empty reaches of uncharted space. The child in his arms, Lyra, stirred occasionally, her tiny glowing eyes opening to study him. Despite her small size, there was intelligence and curiosity in every movement, and Elias felt a growing sense of responsibility that both excited and terrified him. He had faced pirates, storms, and hostile planets, but nothing prepared him for the weight of caring for a being that could change the future of the galaxy. He adjusted the controls, keeping the shuttle on a quiet trajectory. Lyra's glow pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat syncing with his own. The child had been silent since the escape, but Elias sensed her awareness, as if she could understand everything he thought. He whispered softly, trying to soothe her.
"It's all right, Lyra. We're safe for now. I won't let anything happen to you."
Lyra tilted her head, and a faint melodic sound escaped her lips. It was not a word in any human language, yet Elias felt its meaning as clearly as if she had spoken in English. It was trust, curiosity, and a gentle question all at once. Elias's chest tightened with emotion. He realized she was guiding him not only through the stars, but into a connection he could not yet fully understand. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the alien queen's fleet moved with terrifying precision. Sleek ships, black as obsidian and bristling with weapons, sliced through hyperspace at incredible speeds. Her throne room glowed with crimson light as she watched the tracking systems, her eyes sharp and unyielding. The child had escaped, and the fleet had orders to bring Lyra back. Yet she hesitated, her instincts in conflict. The Queen's advisors argued among themselves, voices sharp and insistent.
"Your Majesty, this human is not equipped to handle her."
"He cannot be trusted. We must retrieve the child before it is too late." The Queen's gaze remained on the distant shuttle. "I see the bond," she said quietly, almost to herself. "It is unexpected, but undeniable. We cannot ignore it." She rose from her throne, regal and imposing, her presence alone enough to silence her council. "Prepare the fleet. Approach with caution. We will recover her. But we must understand why the human holds such sway over our child." Back in the shuttle, Elias checked the navigation systems. The fleet would reach this sector soon, he knew. He adjusted the shields and ran simulations in his mind. He was no fighter in a war fleet, but he had skill in improvisation and survival, and he would use every ounce of it to keep Lyra safe. He glanced down at the child, who was now humming softly in her alien way, as if responding to his own heartbeat. They entered a dense asteroid field, rocks tumbling through space like a chaotic ballet. Elias maneuvered carefully, weaving the shuttle between massive boulders. Lyra's glow intensified, and Elias realized she was sensing the danger, guiding him through paths that even his instruments could barely track. He marveled at her intuition. The child, barely a being of a few years by human standards, was a navigator unlike any starship computer he had ever known. Suddenly, the fleet appeared on the edge of the asteroid field. Black ships with sharp, angular lines cut through the void, their sensors scanning for the intruder. Elias's hands tightened on the controls, sweat forming on his brow. The Queen had sent her elite units, known for ruthless efficiency and unmatched skill. Escape seemed nearly impossible. Lyra stirred in his arms and made another melodic sound. Elias realized she was directing him toward a narrow passage between two massive asteroids. He followed instinctively, trusting her guidance. The passage was tight, nearly impossible for the larger ships to navigate. One by one, the fleet's vessels attempted the approach, only to be blocked by the tumbling rocks. Elias felt a flicker of hope. Lyra was helping them. She was protecting herself, but she was also protecting him. As they moved deeper into the asteroid maze, Elias tried to communicate with her, speaking softly despite knowing she might not understand his words.
We're safe for now.
I don't know what comes next, but I'll keep you safe. You have nothing to fear.
Byra looked up at him, her small hand brushing against his cheek. A warmth spread through him at the simple gesture. He realized that their connection was becoming more profound than mere survival. It was trust, respect, and an unspoken bond of family. The alien queen watched from her flagship, her expression unreadable. She had witnessed the child's glowing form guiding the human, the shuttle moving with a grace that no one could explain. For the first time, she felt doubt. Her child, the most precious and powerful in her lineage, had chosen someone outside their species, a human. And yet there was strength in this bond she could not deny. She leaned forward, resting her hands on the armrests of her throne. Perhaps we have underestimated the human spirit, she murmured. Or perhaps this child has a destiny we cannot control. Either way, we must proceed carefully. Elias continued to navigate the treacherous field, Lyra's glowing presence guiding him with every turn. They moved like a single entity, the shuttle responding to her instincts as if it were an extension of her being. He could sense her growing comfort with him, the trust that came from shared danger. He had never experienced anything like it in his life. After hours of tense maneuvering, they finally emerged from the asteroid field into a quiet region of space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, distant suns casting pale light on the shuttle's hull. Elias allowed himself a moment to breathe, relief washing over him. Lyra nestled against him, exhausted but alert, her glow dimming as she slept. But safety was temporary. Elias knew the alien queen's fleet would regroup and pursue them relentlessly. He needed a plan, a destination where they could hide and prepare. He scanned the sector and found a small, uncharted planet. Its surface was lush with forests, rivers, and mountains, entirely untouched by human or alien civilization. It was a perfect refuge, at least for now. He set course for the planet, the shuttle's engines humming quietly. Lyra slept in his arms, and for the first time in what felt like days, Elias allowed himself a moment of calm reflection. How had he come to this? He had been a captain, a traveler of stars, but never a parent. And yet here he was, responsible for a child from another world, one who had called him Dad without hesitation or explanation. The word echoed in his mind, filling him with emotion he had never allowed himself to feel.
As they approached the planet, the alien queen's fleet appeared once again on sensors.
She had not given up. Her ships surrounded the planet in a careful formation, ready to strike if necessary. Yet she hesitated, studying the human and the child. There was something about their bond that gave her pause, something she could not fully comprehend. Elias landed the shuttle on the planet's surface, choosing a secluded area near a dense forest. He secured the shuttle and carried Lyra into the trees, her glow illuminating their path. The air was fresh, clean, and filled with the sounds of wildlife. He set her down gently, and she explored her surroundings with wide eyes, fascinated by the forest and its unfamiliar creatures. Elias watched her, a sense of awe washing over him. The child had survived so much already, escaping the most powerful fleet in the galaxy, navigating dangers he could barely understand. And yet, she approached this new world with curiosity and trust. He realized that this was more than survival. It was learning, growth, and adaptation. Above them, the alien queen observed from orbit. Her ships remained in place, but she did not descend. She had learned something important. The human was not just a protector. He was a guide, a teacher, and a presence that could not be ignored. The child's trust in him was absolute, and she could not force her offspring back without consequences. Elias set up a temporary shelter, gathering materials from the forest to create a safe place for Lyra to rest. He moved carefully, mindful of her small size and fragile form. She watched him, curiosity in her eyes, yet also a sense of comfort. He whispered to her, "We'll be safe here for now. You can rest, and tomorrow we'll figure out what comes next." Lyra looked up at him and made a melodic sound, one that Elias felt deep in his chest. It was reassurance, gratitude, and a gentle promise that she understood his words. He smiled softly, feeling a bond strengthen between them. He was no longer just a captain navigating the stars. He was a guardian, a father, and the protector of a child whose destiny would change the course of the galaxy. As night fell on the planet, Elias and Lyra sat beneath the trees, the stars twinkling above them. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers and wonders, yet in this quiet moment they were safe. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but Elias knew one truth clearly. He would protect this child, guide her, and stand by her no matter what challenges awaited them. Above, the alien queen's fleet watched silently, the glow of her ships casting shadows on the planet below. She had not expected the human to succeed, yet here he was, holding her child, guiding her through danger with courage and skill. She could only wonder what this bond meant for the future, and whether the human spirit, unpredictable and unyielding, was something even she could not control. Elias closed his eyes briefly, feeling Lyra's warmth in his arms, and whispered once more, "We will face everything together."
"I promise you are safe with me." Lyra's glow pulsed softly in response, a gentle rhythm that filled him with hope and determination.
The stars stretched endlessly beyond the trees, silent witnesses to the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Elias knew the challenges would be immense, the alien queen relentless, and the galaxy unpredictable. Yet for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of purpose stronger than fear. He was no longer alone in the universe. He had Lyra, and together they would face whatever came next. Elias woke to the soft rustling of leaves above him, sunlight spilling through the thick canopy of the forest. Lyra had already woken, her glowing form moving carefully among the trees, her small hands brushing against the ferns and moss. She hummed softly, a gentle melody that Elias had begun to understand as communication. Though she did not speak human words, her sounds carried meaning, curiosity, joy, and sometimes concern. Elias stretched, feeling the weight of the past days pressing on him. He had navigated dangerous space, evaded a powerful alien fleet, and now found himself on an unfamiliar planet with a being that called him Dad. The word echoed in his mind constantly, reminding him of responsibility he could not ignore. He glanced at Lyra. He had never felt such connection before, and the feeling both terrified and inspired him. He decided it was time to explore the planet more. While the forest provided safety, he needed to understand their surroundings if they were to survive for any length of time. He gently picked Lyra up and carried her along a narrow stream that wound through the trees. The water was clear, reflecting the green leaves in the pale sunlight, and he marveled at the beauty of this untouched world. Lyra pressed close to him, her glow flickering as she seemed to take in every detail. As they moved, Elias explained softly what they would do. "We need food, water and shelter for the next few days. We can't stay in one place too long if the Queen's fleet finds us." Lyra tilted her head, making another melodic sound, and Elias interpreted it as understanding. He felt a surge of pride and protectiveness. She trusted him completely, and he could not fail her. Hours passed as Elias gathered edible fruits, roots, and small animals, preparing simple meals over a makeshift fire. Lyra watched intently, occasionally mimicking his actions, her small hands trying to scoop water or move sticks. Each gesture strengthened their bond. He realized that survival was no longer the only goal. Teaching her, guiding her, and understanding her were equally important. She was not just a child to protect. She was someone to learn from, a being whose very presence reshaped his understanding of life. As evening approached, the sky shifted to shades of pink and purple. The forest seemed alive with sounds, distant animals, rustling leaves, and the occasional call of unseen creatures. Elias set up a small sleeping area, surrounding it with protective barriers made from fallen branches and vines. Lyra settled beside him, her glow dimming as she rested her head on his shoulder. Far above, the alien queen had not remained idle. She had studied the planet, analyzing its terrain, ecosystems, and possible hiding spots. Her ships hovered in orbit, cloaked and silent, yet ready to strike at the first opportunity. She did not understand the human's bond with her child, nor did she fully trust it, but she observed closely. Each passing hour without recapture made her uneasy. The child had not only escaped her grasp, but had learned to survive in ways that even she had not anticipated. Elias woke early the next morning, the sounds of the forest surrounding them. Lyra had already begun exploring, moving carefully among the ferns, her glowing form illuminating the shadows. He followed her, keeping a safe distance while watching her movements. She was learning quickly, adapting to the planet's terrain, and he marveled at her intelligence. He realized that she was more than just an alien child. She was a survivor, a learner, and perhaps even a guide for him in this strange new world. While gathering water from a nearby stream, Elias spotted movement in the distance. He froze, heart racing, and signaled to Lyra to stay quiet. He could see sleek forms moving among the trees, scouts from the alien queen's fleet. They had followed him here, tracking the child with advanced sensors. He knew they could strike at any moment. Elias whispered to Lyra, "Stay close to me." "We have to be careful." She moved immediately, instinctively understanding the danger. Her glow dimmed as they navigated silently through the undergrowth, avoiding the scouts. Elias felt a surge of protectiveness. This child's life depended entirely on his decisions, his instincts, and his courage. They managed to evade the scouts and found a hidden cave along a small cliff. Elias inspected it carefully, ensuring it was safe and free from dangers. Lyra followed him inside, her glow illuminating the rough stone walls. He created a small living space using natural materials from the forest to make it comfortable. She explored the cave, her curiosity boundless, touching the walls, the floor, and even Elias's hands. As they settled, Elias reflected on the past days. He had faced impossible odds, yet they had survived. The child had called him Dad, and though he did not understand why, he knew that the bond was real and unbreakable. She had chosen him, and he had accepted that responsibility with every fiber of his being. Night fell, and the forest was alive with sounds. Elias kept watch while Lyra slept, her small body glowing softly. He thought about the alien queen, her fleet, and the dangers that awaited them. He knew they could not stay hidden forever, yet for the moment, they were safe. The bond between them had grown stronger, and he felt a sense of hope that he had not felt in years. The next day, Elias taught Lyra how to move quietly, how to avoid dangers, and how to recognize edible plants and animals. She learned quickly, her small hands mimicking his movements, her glowing eyes bright with understanding. He realized that she was not just a child to protect. She was a being with immense potential, capable of learning and growing far beyond what he had imagined. Meanwhile, the alien queen's fleet continued to observe from orbit. She had dispatched scouts to monitor the human and child, yet they remained elusive. The queen's mind raced with questions. How had a human gained such trust and influence over her offspring? Could she challenge the bond, or would it only grow stronger with time? She could not comprehend it, and that unsettled her. Days passed as Elias and Lyra adapted to life on the planet. They hunted together, explored the forests, and rested in the hidden cave. Each day brought new challenges, but also new moments of connection. Elias felt his understanding of family, trust, and responsibility deepening with every interaction. He had never felt such purpose, such clarity, and yet he knew the greatest challenges were yet to come. One evening, as they watched the stars from a hilltop, Elias reflected on their journey. He had faced dangers he could not have imagined, yet the child had guided him, trusted him, and chosen him. He whispered softly, "We will face whatever comes next, together."
"I will protect you, always." Lyra responded with a soft glow, a silent affirmation of her trust and understanding.
The alien queen, watching from her ship, made a decision. She would not approach immediately. The bond between the human and her child was strong, and she realized that any forceful action could backfire. Instead, she would study, learn, and wait for the right moment. Yet she could not ignore the threat that this bond represented. The human had proven resourceful, courageous, and clever beyond expectation. She would need more than power to reclaim her child. Elias knew their time was limited. The queen would not give up, and her fleet was relentless. He began to plan, considering ways to protect Lyra, understand her abilities, and prepare for the inevitable confrontation. He taught her more skills, shared knowledge of the stars, and helped her understand the ways of survival. Each lesson strengthened their bond, preparing them for the trials ahead. Lyra, for her part, thrived under his guidance. She explored the forests with growing confidence, learned to hunt and forage, and even began to experiment with her own abilities, the glow of her form pulsing in rhythm with her movements. Elias watched her, amazed at her courage and intelligence. She was no ordinary child. She was a bridge between worlds, and he would not fail her. Night after night they watched the stars together, silent witnesses to their growing connection. The universe was vast, full of danger and wonder, yet in each other they had found trust, family, and purpose. Elias knew that challenges lay ahead, that the alien queen would not rest, and that the galaxy itself would test their bond. Yet, for now, they were together, safe, and learning to navigate a world that neither fully understood. As they settled in for another night, Elias whispered to Lyra, "No matter what comes, we face it together. You are safe with me." She glowed softly in response, a rhythm that echoed his own heartbeat, a sign of the unbreakable bond forming between them. And though the stars stretched endlessly above, full of unknown dangers, Elias knew one truth. With her by his side, he could face anything the universe had to offer. The air was still. The forest bathed in the pale light of the morning sun. Lyra stirred beside him, her glow faint but steady, signaling that she was ready for the day. Elias could feel the tension building in the air. Something was coming. He knew the alien queen would not give up, and her patience was far greater than his. Today, he feared, would be the day they would meet. He carefully lifted Lyra, and together they stepped out of the cave. The forest seemed calm, almost peaceful, but Elias knew that appearances could be deceiving. He scanned the horizon, noting the movement of birds and the rustling of branches, all while keeping a careful watch. Lyra walked beside him, her small hand brushing against his, her glow pulsing with awareness. It was clear she sensed the danger as much as he did. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the forest floor. Elias froze, heart pounding. High above, a large ship descended slowly, its hull reflecting the sunlight. The alien queen had come herself. Her ship landed with precision, shaking the ground beneath them. Elias could see her form as the doors opened, tall, regal, and commanding, radiating authority and power. Every instinct in Elias told him to protect Lyra, to stand between her and the Queen. Yet he could not help but notice the concern in her eyes as she surveyed the small child standing with him. Lyra held onto his hand tightly, her glow intensifying. She seemed aware of the Queen's presence, yet she did not shrink. Elias realized that she trusted him completely, and that trust gave him strength. He stepped forward slightly, placing himself between Lyra and the approaching figure. The Queen's gaze softened as she looked at her child. Despite her power, her presence was not threatening in that moment. She was curious, confused, and perhaps even a little afraid.
Elias Vaughn?
The Queen's voice rang, clear and commanding.
You have taken what belongs to me.
She is not property, he said. She is a child, and she trusts me. You cannot force her to go with you. The Queen's eyes narrowed. She had never encountered such defiance from a human, and it surprised her. Her fleet remained in orbit, watching, waiting for her command. Elias knew they could strike at any moment, yet he stood his ground. He would not surrender Lyra. Lyra took a step forward, her small hand reaching out toward Elias. Her glow pulsed rapidly, a sign of her awareness and emotion. She spoke in her melodic language, and though the Queen could not understand the words, she could sense the meaning. The child had made a choice. She had chosen Elias. The Queen's face shifted, a mixture of shock, confusion, and reluctant respect. She had raised this child, trained her for power, and yet this tiny human had earned her trust. Elias realized that the Queen's hesitation was their advantage. He needed to keep the child calm, keep her close, and prevent panic. Your Majesty, Elias said carefully. She has survived because of trust, care, and guidance. That is not weakness. That is strength. You cannot take that away from her. The Queen studied him, her gaze piercing, yet her posture relaxed slightly. She was powerful, but she was not cruel. She understood the bond, even if she could not accept it fully. She stepped closer, her eyes never leaving Lyra. She is mine by right, she said softly, almost as if convincing herself. And yet, I see she has chosen you. She had made her choice clear, and the Queen could sense it too. For the first time, Elias saw uncertainty in her eyes, a hesitation that could change everything. He realized that the outcome of this encounter would depend not on force, but on understanding, patience, and respect. He spoke gently, looking at the Queen. She will never forget you. You are her parent in ways she cannot yet understand. But she is learning to live, to survive, and to trust in a way that only humans can teach. If you try to take her by force, you risk everything she has gained. And she will resist. You know that. The Queen was silent for a moment, considering his words. The forest was quiet, except for the soft wind moving through the trees. She could sense the truth in Elias's voice, the sincerity in his actions. She had underestimated him, underestimated the bond that could exist between a human and her child. For the first time, she realized that strength was not only in power, but in choice, in trust, and in love. Lyra spoke again, in her melodic voice, and Elias understood her meaning. She wanted to speak to the Queen herself. He stepped back slightly, allowing the child to move forward. Lyra's small hands lifted toward the Queen, her glow bright and steady. She spoke clearly, her words simple, yet filled with intent. I choose him! The Queen gasped, the sound sharp and involuntary. Her child had chosen another over her. Yet there was no anger in the child's eyes, only trust, love, and certainty. The Queen looked at Elias, studying him. Seeing the human who had earned her child's confidence, she realized that she could not force the bond away without breaking something irreplaceable. Elias stepped forward, careful to maintain calm.
"She has chosen me," he said, "not to replace you, but to learn, to grow, and to survive."
"She will always know you, always respect you, but she is safe with me." The queen's gaze softened further. She had spent countless cycles planning, controlling, and protecting, yet here was a human teaching her child in ways she could not. Elias felt a wave of relief, mixed with awe. He had not expected understanding, yet here it was. The queen nodded slowly, acknowledging their bond without words. Elias set Lyra down gently. She ran toward the queen, her small form glowing brightly. The queen bent slightly, her presence gentle now. Lyra spoke again, her language melodic and clear, and though Elias could not understand the words, he sensed gratitude, respect, and love from both sides. The queen's shoulders relaxed, and for the first time, Elias felt that they were not enemies, but participants in a new understanding. The forest seemed to breathe with them, the tension dissipating as sunlight broke through the canopy. The queen spoke softly, her voice almost tender.
"You have earned her trust."
"I cannot take that from her, and I will not."
Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility and relief.
The danger was not gone, but the immediate threat had passed. The queen turned, ascending back to her ship, her fleet waiting silently in orbit. Elias knew they would watch, but she would not interfere directly. The child was safe, and the bond had been acknowledged. Lyra ran back to Elias, her glow bright and steady. She hugged him tightly, her tiny hands clutching at his jacket. Elias felt her warmth, her trust, and a profound sense of purpose. He realized that the journey was not over, that challenges would continue, but for the first time he felt that they could face the universe together. The forest stretched endlessly around them, filled with unknown creatures, towering trees, and hidden dangers. Yet Elias felt a calm determination. With Lyra by his side, he had purpose beyond survival. He would teach her, guide her, and protect her as she grew. And together they would explore, discover, and face whatever came next. Night fell, and the stars sparkled above, countless points of light illuminating the dark sky. Elias and Lyra sat together, watching the constellations, feeling the connection that had formed between them. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of dangers, but they had each other. That bond would carry them through everything. The alien queen watched from orbit one last time before departing. She had learned something essential. Power alone could not command trust or love. She could guide her child, teach her, and watch over her. But the choices of the child were her greatest lesson. Elias had earned a place in her child's life, and for now, that truth was undeniable. Elias held Lyra close, feeling the steady rhythm of her glow, the soft weight of her trust. He whispered softly, "No matter what comes, we face it together. I promise you, you are safe with me." Lyra pulsed brightly, as if answering him, a silent affirmation of the unbreakable bond that had been forged through fear, trust, and courage. And as the night deepened, with stars stretching endlessly above, Elias understood that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, full of wonders and dangers. Yet with Lyra at his side, he was no longer